Hello, welcome back to Eye on Africa with me, Jean-Emile Jameen, taking a look at all your latest news from around the continent. Here are your leading stories. France officially ends its military presence in Senegal, handing back its last two bases after 65 years. The move follows President Diomaye Faye's call to reclaim full sovereignty, part of a wider French pullout from Africa amidst rising anti-French sentiment and shifting alliances. Then Nigeria's President Bola Ahmed Tinubu recalls over 100 ambassadors, leaving only its UN envoy in place. Experts warn it could hurt diplomacy and security ties, especially as Nigeria plays a key role in fighting Islamist insurgency in West Africa. And tensions are rising in eastern DR Congo, despite a ceasefire with M23 rebels. As peace talks wrap up in Qatar, there's no sign yet of a deal, raising fears that fighting could erupt again at any moment. Welcome to this edition. An era comes to an end. France has wrapped up its military presence in Senegal, handing over its last major base in Dakar, ending a deployment that dates back more than 2 centuries. The move follows President Bassirou Diomaye Faye's push to remove all permanent foreign forces from Senegal, calling them incompatible with national sovereignty. However, both countries say they'll keep working together. Daniel Cullen and Leo Perchard with this report.
Since gaining independence in 1960, Senegal has hosted the French military. Now, with French troops withdrawing from Camp Géa, a chapter ends, not just for Senegal, but for France's military presence across Africa. In the wake of decolonization, France signed a series of defense agreements with newly independent nations like Ivory Coast and Senegal. The goal, to support these new governments and train their military forces. By 1970, France had 20,000 soldiers stationed across the continent. Since 1959, over 90 military operations have been carried out, earning France the nickname Africa's policeman. Some were defensive missions. Others, like the 2011 intervention against Laurent Gbagbo in Ivory Coast, were more direct. Among the largest was Operation Barkhane from 2014 to 2022, a campaign that helped prevent a jihadist takeover in Mali's capital, Bamako. But in the end, French forces were pushed out, first by a military coup in Mali, then Burkina Faso and Niger. By 2022, only 6,000 French troops remained in Africa. Across the continent, public opinion increasingly rejected France's military bases, often seen as relics of colonial influence. In 2024, Chad ended its military partnership with France. The Ivory Coast called for the return of its base, and Gabon's base in Libreville became a shared site. With the shutdown of Camp Géa in Senegal, it's the end of France's military bases in West and Central Africa. Today, France's only remaining base on the continent is in Djibouti, with 1,500 troops.
That report there voiced by Charlie James. Now, Nigeria's president has recalled over 100 ambassadors worldwide, except the envoy to the United Nations, sparking concern over a sudden diplomatic vacuum. Experts say the move could stall intelligence gathering, treaty negotiations and global cooperation. With Nigeria seen as a crucial ally in fighting Islamist insurgency in West Africa, the absence of its envoys on the world stage could carry major consequences. That's what our reporter Chinwe Osondu tells us.
2 years into the present administration, experts are of the opinion that Nigeria embassies ought to be manned by ambassadors. They found that the nation focuses less on foreign policy, given that Nigeria has championed issues on foreign policies on regional blocs, African and global fronts, and is now taking an observer seat at the BRICS. Nigeria must get it right with its foreign policy, experts say, after recalling all ambassadors across the globe in September 2023. It is yet to appoint any. Nigeria's Foreign Affairs Minister Yusuf Tugar had forwarded the names of ambassadorial nominees over a year ago and is hoping that the list will be soon confirmed. The list has been criticized because it has more political than career nominees. Over the years, furthering Nigeria's mission has been a thorny issue for her foreign ministers. A careful study by the president of the present situation administration could lead to better results, with about $198 million budgeted to fund foreign missions.
Now, in Eastern Democratic Republic of the Congo, tensions are rising despite the fragile ceasefire between government forces and Rwanda-backed M23 rebels. Negotiations are underway in Qatar and expected to conclude soon, with a possible deal on the table. But so far, no agreement has been reached, and fears of renewed violence are growing as fighting could erupt again at any moment. Take a listen to this report.
Negotiations between the Congolese government and M23 rebels are ongoing in Qatar and are expected to come to an end soon, with a potential deal in the offing. The M23 is an armed group led by Congolese Tutsis, which is supported by Rwanda. Earlier this year, the M23 and Rwandan troops captured two major cities in eastern Congo and then threatened to march on the capital, Kinshasa, and topple the Congolese government. Heavy diplomatic pressure, especially from the United States, forced the two sides to the negotiating table. While there's little detail about the secretive negotiations in Qatar, diplomats report that the discussions are tense. At the beginning of July, the M23 published a list of demands it said would build trust between the two sides. These included releasing prisoners and cancelling arrest warrants. The Congolese side, for its part, has not yet commented publicly on the substance of the talks. Both the Congolese and Rwandan interior ministers were in Qatar this week, however, a sign of the advanced stage of the negotiations. But on the ground, the mood in eastern Congo is tense. Both sides have accused each other of committing attacks, as well as of reinforcing military positions. There are particular fears that the town of Uvira in South Kivu, which is still in Congolese hands, might come under attack.
That was our regional correspondent, Emmett Livingston, who has been following the events since they broke out in the eastern DRC. Let's get a little bit more news from across the continent in a brief. Togo held municipal elections this Thursday under tight security, just weeks after rare and deadly protests shook the country. Demonstrators, mostly youth, took to the streets over economic hardship, joblessness, and the government's harsh repression of dissent. Rights groups say police killed 7 protesters in June, with bodies later recovered from rivers in the capital, Lome. Well, despite calls for more demonstrations, the city did remain quiet as polls opened, though voter turnout appeared low this Thursday. President Faure Gnassingbé, in power since 2005, has continued the family's grip on Togo since his father ruled for 38 years before him. Then some sports news. Tennis star Ons Jabeur is hitting pause. The former world number 2 from Tunisia is stepping away from the tour, saying she needs to rediscover the joy of simple living. Jabeur has struggled with injuries and form, slipping to number 71 after a tough stretch, including retiring from Wimbledon due to breathing issues. A 3-time Grand Slam finalist, she made history as the first Arab and African woman to reach major finals at both Wimbledon and the US Open. Now, she says it's time to heal, breathe, and reconnect with life off the court. And in Burkina Faso, viral videos featuring AI-generated versions of Beyoncé, Justin Bieber, even jailed paedophile rapper R. Kelly are praising military leader Captain Ibrahim Traoré. Experts say it's part of a growing disinformation campaign pushing a personality cult around Traoré, who seized power in 2022 coup. Despite promises to fight jihadist violence, attacks have surged in the country. Meanwhile, local journalists face jail and pro-Traoré content floods social media, some allegedly linked to Russian influence. Analysts now warn the campaign could destabilize the region far beyond Burkina Faso. Finally, the hearing of Tanzania's main opposition leader, Tundu Lissu, was postponed again this week, further delaying the start of his trial on treason charges. The decision comes just 3 months before the country's presidential election. As the vote approaches, concerns over political repression are growing, reaching far beyond Tanzania's borders. Lissu's arrest and the repeated delays have sparked international criticism. Olivia Bizot from the region reports.
Tanzania's main opposition leader, Tundu Lissu, has been in prison since April. He's been accused of treason, a charge that could carry the death penalty. This week, his trial was delayed for the 4th time, and the court says it's waiting for the High Court to rule on a request by prosecutors to hide witnesses behind wooden screens. It's a move Lissu says violates his right to a fair trial. Now, he was arrested in April after holding a rally calling for electoral reforms. And since then, he's repeatedly accused the government of using the courts to silence opposition voices. This is not Lisu's first brush with danger. Back in 2017, his car was sprayed with bullets in an assassination attempt. President Samia Suluhu's government had raised hopes of reforms when she took power in 2021, but those hopes have quickly faded. In recent months, critical media outlets have been shut down and opponents arrested or abducted. International concern is growing. The European Parliament has formally condemned Lisu's arrest. And in May, Kenyan and Ugandan activists who came to support him were blocked from entering Tanzania. Some were even detained and then forcibly removed from the country. Lisu's next hearing is set for July the 30th, but many fear it will be postponed once again. And with elections just 3 months away, the crackdown on dissent shows no signs of easing.
Well, you're up to date with the latest from Africa. That's it from myself, Jean-Emile Jamin, and the team. We'll see you for more here on France 24.
Stay in touch throughout the night.
Get all the latest facts and insights on recent world events.
The news never sleeps.
Join us live on France 24.
Night Watch with Alexander Ocott and James Mulholland, live on France 24.
We will use all necessary state, local, federal, and military resources to carry out the largest domestic deportation operation in American history.
Today in the United States, many live in fear of ICE raids.
I have the right for due process, don't I? So why are you dropping me like this?
Surges in arrests and mass deportations.
De verdad es un secuestro. Los llevaron sin juicio, sin investigación, sin nada.
Brutal methods targeting immigrants living in the country. Arrests by all means necessary.
I know that they are using artificial intelligence to track protesters and build profiles.
These technologies leverage the same kind of tools that are used in warfare.
Reporters, ICE, the war on migrants on France 24.
It's rarely that Danes go out and demonstrate and, fight the barricades, but I think 70 is old. Because I don't want to work until I'm 70. I want to enjoy my life doing the things I want to do while I can do it. I don't have to climb Kilimanjaro or anything, but I would like to travel and enjoy life and not just become a vegetable sitting on a couch because you can't really do anything.
So there's going to be an increase in inequality between academics with very long educations and higher wages who are able to retire using their own money and savings prior to what our members are able to do because their savings are smaller.
Her alle sammen velkommen til Transport for en aggressiv Rusland.